Good evening, everybody. Okay, so I will not lie. You guys will not get the best of me tonight. I've been fighting a 102 fever for 2 days now. I feel like holy hell. I got my blankie and my ginger ale. So, I made a commitment. I'm going to do the commitment. Clearly, I'm here. But you guys definitely are not going to get the 100% best of me. My head is pounding. I've been dizzy. Listen, I've attempted to eat something today. Too nauseous to eat too much. I had some rice earlier. My little so kindly just offered to make me soup. You know, she's not really little anymore, but I call her my little because she's the littlest of the three. They're all my babies still, even though they're not babies anymore. As a parent, I know you guys understand. We call them babies, but they're not even babies anymore. But you guys still get me, even though I'm feeling kind of shitty. So I know I should be in bed. I honestly really should be in bed. But I'm not. I'm here. I'm here because I promised. And because the Adelson case starts tomorrow, so I'll have to be here in the morning anyway, because we're covering that. So we're not going to have a extremely long live tonight. Right? They'll always be my babies, always. But we will have one nonetheless. So for one, sad news, I know you guys saw it. Kylie Montero's remains were found. Unfortunately, that was the pregnant teenager that had last been seen in Rehoboth. She had graduated Attleboro High. Um, sort of, pretty much. Excuse me. So, yeah, she had graduated Attleboro High just a few months ago. This, unfortunately, I'm going to show you, is the perpetrator. It's so very sad, and it gets worse. For me, it's a little personal because when I found out this last bit of information here about her, it made me even sadder. My abuser's favorite thing to do, and I'm not sharing this for sympathy, I'm sharing it because it's so close to this girl's story that it could have been me that was 6 feet under. My abuser's favorite thing to do was to choke and to put his hand over my mouth and nose like this until I couldn't breathe, to the point where I used to have finger marks when I would go to school. I had my daughter when I was 18, 3 days after my 18th birthday. So I was pregnant when I was 17, and I was still in high school. So I used to have these like almost like permanent little dots here and a thumbprint here. And of course, at that point, you're making excuses. I fell. I whatever, they knew. You know what I mean? They had to have. How do you not know at that point? But I'm 17. I'm pregnant. I'm scared. I'm afraid. And two of his favorite things to do would be put his hand there or choke. And when they found her body and this information came out, this was horrific. I thought to myself, this girl is me. And if she wasn't already enough like me, the rest of this story is just really sad. Like, just really sad. I didn't have any, picture of him until now. I had a sneaking suspicion that somebody said, they kept saying domestic issue. They didn't say domestic violence. They said domestic issue, which really made me think they were hiding the domestic violence in case it wasn't him, right? But they found her remains on his property, in which, okay, so before he killed her, okay, I hate that word, before he unalived her, she was nearly 3 months pregnant, okay? And one of her friends, one of the last ones to see her alive, said that she said to the friend, like, "I don't feel safe right now. Something's not right." Like, she probably felt that in her bones. Believe me, we feel it. Whether we act on it or not is a whole nother thing. It's a woman's intuition and it never lies. Never, ever ignore it. Ever. I don't know how many times I have to tell somebody that. Never ignore it. Okay. So the investigation revealed she had texted her sister on August 6th about an altercation she had with him. She said her phone was on low battery, and leaving the hint of who may be responsible if something happened to her. She said, "He threw me on the ground, pulled my hair, and strangled me." That got me right there. That got me right there. Right there. That took me back to a place I never want to be again. That took me right back to that 17-year-old pregnant girl on the ground, being strangled on the floor of her own apartment by her kid's father/abuser, and no one there to help. And back in my day, we had cell phones, but they weren't like this. What we had was regular house phones. Not everybody had a cell phone. So I didn't have a cell phone at the time. He did. He had a Nextel, which ultimately saved my life. But we had house phones. And so what he would do, and in this instance, what he did do, were cut the phone cord. So there's no help. There's no one to call. You can't call anyone. And I mean cut, not pull out of the wall, cut. So there's no way to put it back in to call for help, right? You're dialing air. Okay. I'll never forget this for how many friggin' phones I actually went through. But that last day when he was arrested, he mistakenly left his cell phone on the table right inside the front door. Where he threw me was my kitchen table, and he left it sitting like this, and I grabbed it and I flipped it open. It was an old Nextel, the first original black Nextel, and I dialed 911, and my bedroom was just through right here. So like my kitchen was here, and it was like 2 steps, and then there's the doorway to the bedroom, and I took it and I freaking hummed it, and it slid under the bed, and they could hear everything. The call's still recorded. I'm sure they still have that if I want to FOIA it, but I don't ever want to listen to that. I know that another girl that he abused FOIA'd it. I gave her permission to FOIA it. I also collected all my police reports from it, and I gave them to her to help her. Who now is his ex-wife, funny enough. But that phone saved my life that day. When the cops came, I was covered in blood. He was covered in my blood. They found him hiding in a closet. They banged on the door, and he took off, let go of me, and just took off. And I didn't know if he left the house through the back door, which is what I assumed. But that phone and dialing 911, throwing it under the bed, saved my life. If he smashed her cell phone, who's she calling for help? There's no one to help her. And, people just assume that there's always going to be a phone or a way to call for help. And this is why I say get a goddamn Apple Watch. And I don't have an Apple Watch. I don't have an Apple phone. But I've thought about getting the Google version of it, Android version of it. Most people don't have house phones anymore. This was way back in the early 2000s. I've been away from my abuser a long time, but those scars still remain. But they'll always remain, unfortunately. But this girl, it just brought me to that place that I don't think anybody ever wants to be, thinking about it. And the terror I felt is most undoubtedly the terror that she felt. Except he went step further and got a weapon and stabbed her in the neck, in the chest, and then spent hours in the woods behind his home digging and burying her. Disgusting. It is debilitating. That's all right, girl. Listen, we're not the spelling police over here. I don't care. We're not writing it. I make errors all the time because my hands shake because I have arthritis and I have fibromyalgia. So believe you me, and the keyboard on my phone is so small. It's like this big. I don't know why, but of all the phones I've had, this one is the smallest. So I always hit one that's like next to it, above it, below it, whatever. And then I'll type it all out and then press send without, proofreading, whatever. And I shut autocorrect off sometimes because it's really obnoxious. Anyway, we're not the spelling police, and you're not writing a college professor a paper, so I don't give a shit. It's unfortunate because, like I said, she told her sister, my phone's at 4%, and if I die, it was Greg. That was Wednesday, the 6th or 7th. 7th, I think. Yeah, August 7th. Of course, they didn't find her until Tuesday of this week. Tuesday of this week, they found her body behind the house. And this is the perpetrator. This is him. 22, Gregory Groom. What a fucking name. But this is the boyfriend. It's unfortunate. So they say they found the remains in his residence. It says in Groom's residence, but it wasn't in, it was outside his residence. And then he allegedly confessed to stabbing her several times before burying her. The stab wound to her chest actually broke the blade off. Oh, that's nice. Why? Because you have it's not easy to get through there. That's why. That's just awful. There is a GoFundMe for the family. I did not know this. This is the first time I'm seeing it. Says find Kaylee, justice for Kaylee. Obviously, she's been found. $14,315 has been raised so far. Obviously, by a family member. They have the same last name. Just really sad because that girl was me. And I don't know how I didn't end up 6 feet under. By the grace of God and a Nextel phone sitting on a table is how I ended up not dead. And it just shows you how little stupid things matter, you know? Like how little dumb things matter. What matters in life is not fighting over the remote or saying mean things to people online. Just isn't it? Life can end at any point in time, any minute, any moment. And if anybody knows that, I sure do. I know you're already in bed. I know, girl. I know. I know. So he pleaded not guilty. You know, I went through a lot of these comments. I don't know if it was on this one. I think it was on a different one. I don't know. There was a lot of comments in support, obviously, of her and her family. It's really, really sad. But I wanted to just, do that real quick because I was hoping that they had found her hiding from him somewhere safe. I can always hope, right? That's how we always hope that it happens because, again, I feel like I was that little girl. Like I was in that spot, So let's talk about this $100 million or more from the California fire victims that has gone to nonprofits and not the victims. Here's the funny part is originally when they did this fire aid concert with all these celebrity guests to do this concert, it was said very clearly that all of the money raised, every penny of the money raised would go to the fire victims, not nonprofits, victims. Okay. Now, basically none of that money or any of the other money that these places took from people, and I donated to it through like my phone. Like T-Mobile had a thing where you could donate through to the fire aid thing, and I did, and I'm a poor person. Okay, so it really gets me. It really freaking gets me. $100 million, and not a single penny of that money has gone to the victims of those fires. I've had a fire. I know what that's like. It fucking sucks to lose everything you've ever owned, including the clothes that you could put on the next day. So all you have is what is on your back. I think what killed me the most was my daughter asking for her cup. It's such a, I could replace the cup, the sippy cup. I can replace the cup. It's a, maybe $8 sippy cup. But when she looked at me and said, "Mommy, does that," and I saved her blanket because I pulled her out, obviously, I wrapped her in the blanket. But she turned to me and said, "Well, Mommy, does that mean my cup is gone?" And she was little at the time, maybe two, maybe three, maybe two. And I just lost it at that point. Like tears, you're something about a little kid being like, does that mean my very, cheap, mundane item that I love so much is gone and I can never have it again? Like, it just breaks your heart, right? Like, I can replace the clothes and the makeup and, all of the things. You can replace all of the things, but you can't replace human lives. And in that moment, all I wanted to do was get her that cup, right? And at this point, I can't go anywhere. I can't do anything. I gotta wait for them to do a fire report and this whole nonsense with the fire department. It's a whole long ass process. They're a pain in the fucking ass nonetheless. And so, I mean, losing everything is so hard. And, you know, a new thing came out, I think it was yesterday, that said the most expensive states to live in, right? California being in the top 5 of those. But the very top one, you guessed it, Massachusetts. And guess what that said? You need to make, ready for it, ready to choke, $300,000 a year to live comfortably in the state of Massachusetts, which 95% of people do not make. 90% of people don't even make $100,000 a year in the state of Massachusetts. I feel that, Dougie. I definitely, through dealing with that way back then, dealing with domestic violence back then, the police don't always help. They re-victimize the victim, and that's why I think they really need to be trained better. And there's no excuse for, and they're still not trained well. Just to this day, I will tell you from doing volunteer advocacy work and helping other people in domestic violence situations, they still treat the victim like shit. I don't want to seem sexist here, but in my opinion, men should never be the domestic violence officer ever, because they just can't, they don't have that bedside manner. They don't understand. It just doesn't compute in their head. Why didn't you just leave? Why didn't you like the things that they say are so uneducated? And I get it. You didn't study to be, you know, an expert in DV, but if you're going to be the sexual assault officer or you're going to be the domestic violence officer, then you need to know. It's not a want, it's a need. You need to know how to approach these situations and what to say and what not to fucking say, right? How to not victim blame realistically, you know? And especially way back then, it was a whole nother world. I got lucky that very last time because clearly I could prove that somebody was hurting me. Had that not been the case, where you're trying, like when I tried to get the restraining order, I obviously successfully got the restraining order, but I had one before that. The restraining order didn't stop him. The piece of paper didn't stop him, just pissed him off more, you know? And they did nothing, not only nothing to help, but they basically were like, well, unless he comes to your house and hurts you, nothing we can do. All the threats mean nothing, you know, the phone calls. And it's like, what are you calling us for? Like, that's because I have a restraining order. That's, what do you mean? That's what it's for. No contact means no contact, period. Not coming to my house, not calling. It means none. Not hitting me up on MySpace. It means none at all. It's unfortunate. So there's this little thing. So Spencer Pratt, if you guys remember him from way back in the day, right? He was on the Hills, right? If you ever watched reality TV back then, and Laguna Beach, right? Heidi Montag's husband. He actually has come out to be some sort of advocate / hero. He lost his home, and I think his in-laws or his parents, it was either his in-laws or his parents, lost theirs too. And now we have at least one politician asking, where is this money? It's been given to nonprofits, including Mr. Gavin Newsom's own nonprofit. I'm sorry, Cal Fire, and they gave it a like, okay, but how's that helping the victims? It might help future people, but how is it helping the people who lost everything? That's what that money was for. And now they've changed it to, they're not giving it to the victims. They're giving it to nonprofits to help victims. Okay, well, those nonprofits, you have to fit a certain set of circumstances. You have to be very low income or have a sick person in the house, only make under a certain. It doesn't help all the victims. It certainly does not. It leaves a lot of the victims out. That money was supposed to help all of the victims, all of them. So real quick, I'll leave it to Spencer to tell y'all what the actual hell is kind of going on here.
Pratt, circling the news and her deep dive investigative journalism, discovered that the second round of $50 million funding, guess who took a fire aid grant? Let me tell you, so you don't have to think too hard. Gavin Newsom and his Cal Volunteers office
need to
took
stop
a
it.
fire aid grant. So that's cool. We'd like to know how much you took and exactly what you did with the money for Altadena and Pacific Palisades. And I mean dollar for dollar what you did with it. Thank you. Oh, we got the proof right here. Go to the fireaid.org site. Go to this where you search grants, search grant round 2, scroll down, Scroll down right here. Oh, we're scrolling. Boom, Cal Volunteers right there. Newsom's little nonprofit. Click in at the Cal Volunteers page. Who are they? About Cal Volunteers. None of them look like fire victims. They got nice clothes. They're closed in, burned down. Yeah, we gotta skip that check. They didn't need any fire aid money over here. Well, look at this. This looks like a letter to the Attorney General asking for an investigation into what Newsom and his wife did with the fire aid $100 million funds, because no victims of Palisades or Altadena have seen any of the money. So I look forward to seeing what the Department of Justice figures out here, because something is very suspicious, and I can't wait as a C-list reality star who is a conspiracy theorist who spreads misinformation according to the governor's office of California. I like to see the real conspiracy here. And it's good, good luck running for president when you're out here scamming fire victims, dear governor. Oh, it gets better. Remember the Annenberg Foundation that also was involved in fire aid? Well, look at this post from 2 months ago, where she says, I'm incredibly proud that philanthropy, I think is the word, has already mobilized over $800 million.
So where is it? Where is
a rough estimate as of today to support recovery efforts.
Now they're saying only 100?
This is just the beginning. Where is the $800 million?
Where is it?
I was trying to get to find the $100 million, but that was just a concert. Where is this $800 million that was raised for fire recovery? Oh, please. Can we find out? I just would love the list.
Can we?
And not the list the LA Times did. It was like, fire aid, this guy, they gave $500 gift cards to some street vendors, and the Pilates instructors got $1,000 each at the Pilates play. No, I want real accounting. Okay, 800 million. Where are these audit people?
Where?
What is going on? Can somebody go back to that memory archive thing that shows what websites used to look like? I would love the screenshot before they remove the word victims from the fire aid website. Oh, now it just says the concert raised an estimated 100 million, because we know it's not for the victims. That part's clear.
It did say victims. And that's the kicker, is they announced publicly that it was all going to go, every penny, to the victims of the fires. This shit drives me bananas. Now we're talking about, oh man, it's just, right? I mean, this is getting crazy to me. Okay, this is crazy to me. $800 million, not just 100 million. That was just a concert. 800 million of people donating their hard-earned dollars that we can't even afford to make sure that that money went to the victims. Listen, I only did it because I've had a fire. I know what that's like. I could not afford it. I did it anyway. How many other people did that? Right? How many other people did that? I want to know where my money went, right? If it didn't go to Spencer or his family, which other family did it go to? Where is the money? Because none of it has been given to the victims. It's all been given to at least part of the 100 million. We don't even know about the other 700 nonprofits. Here's the reason why I don't donate to nonprofits. I'll give you a couple. One is they spend pennies on the dollar that you give actually ever helping someone. Two, I would rather help a human being. I would rather knock on a door, meet someone in person, and help that person than ever give a single penny to a non-profit. They start out great, then they get greedy. It's really that simple. I most certainly will never donate to the Red Cross. They are fraudulent. I have a friend who I helped get all of her evidence together. She worked for the Red Cross and now has a multi-million-dollar, multi-year lawsuit at this point. It's not even close to being over, against the Red Cross. They were throwing out bags of blood that were not expired and then getting on TV and screaming they were in a shortage of blood. They were in no such thing. And she worked there at the time and was like, why the F are we doing this? Why the hell are we doing this? Like, what in the hell? That's all right, Jimbo. I appreciate you anyway, my bud. I mean, oh, believe me, girl, me too. Listen, I have PTSD. I mean, I get it. Listen, your family was probably just worried about your safety, Dougie, especially if you're dealing with the gangs and stuff like that. That's not ideal, that's for sure. But that's why many victims go without reporting it. There are so many more victims that are ever counted because they never report it for various reasons. Well, number one reason being safety, right? Number one reason being safety. I mean, this just pisses me off to no end because, one of the, lawmakers, politicians are asking for a full accounting of the money, but really the governor's office is just saying, oh, well, it's going to nonprofits. Well, what happened to it's going to the victims? Now it's, oh no, it's not going to the victims. It's going to nonprofits that will give it and spread it to where it needs to go. That is not what they were told. That is not what they were told. That is not what anybody was told when we're dealing with fire. This is exactly why I would rather pick a family in California. Now, if I was of means, I would just contact somebody in California and be like, find me a family that lost everything and I would love to help them. This is why I would rather it go directly to people. And I get it. The reason rich people don't do it is because they don't get a tax write-off. There's no tax write-off if you just give it to someone. You can't claim that it went to a 501c and get a tax write-off for that money. If I'm rich, I don't need a fucking tax write-off, dude. If I'm donating to help, then I'm donating to help. I'm not donating to get money back. Right? Like, isn't that the whole point? Like, I don't know. To me, it's I am going to help directly. It's why I always do. Here they are calling out mortgage companies, fire victims.
In fire-scarred Altadena, rebuilding is underway. But for some, the construction doesn't tell the full story.
For every house like this?
Oh, there's like 5 like me. Okay, for real.
Neil Smith's entire home, including the office for his architecture business, was destroyed by the Eaton fire. So when he heard about a state-led initiative for homeowners designed to temporarily delay mortgage payments for 90 days without penalty, what's commonly known as a forbearance, he jumped at the offer, feeling he needed the extra cash.
I don't need any more stress. And it was presented to me as an option. However, if I had to do it again, I wouldn't have gone anywhere near it.
That's because Smith says promises were broken. The state agreement explicitly states that when the forbearance period was up, a homeowner would be offered payment options that do not require immediate repayment in a lump sum, a so-called balloon payment. And Smith says he was also told his credit score wouldn't be affected. But he says both things are exactly what happened.
They want the whole amount due. And they go, oh, no. Until you pay it off, it's still going to have an adverse effect on your credit. And I'm just going.
That one kills me. I knew people down there for that.
Unbelievable.
Amy Williams is an attorney whose firm is assisting Smith and others.
400 mortgage servicers signed up to abide by these bare minimum standards for mortgage relief. Homeowners are instead being offered the complete opposite.
You're seeing people get told, okay, your months are up, pay up.
Pay up, or we're going to begin the foreclosure process.
Her client, Altadena resident Lisa Mason, says she's been threatened with foreclosure, all because her auto payments stopped when her mortgage company mistakenly enrolled her into forbearance against her wishes. She only found out it happened when her credit score took a 120-point hit.
I really think they want me out. They want me to give up. That's truly what I think at this point.
So that what?
So that they can take the property or that'll sell it.
Neither Mason nor Smith's mortgage providers responded to our request for comment. For Smith, who's committed to staying in Altadena, he says what was supposed to be much needed relief has instead made things like getting a loan even harder.
So having this lower credit score now, is it slowing down your rebuilding process here?
Oh, certainly. You don't have as many options, obviously. And you're going with your begging bowl.
Your begging bowl.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
Oh, yeah. The whole thing is like walking around with a begging bowl. That's what it's like.
And Liz joins us live. Liz, Governor Newsom was instrumental in getting this temporary relief. So what is the state saying now?
Yeah, well, Tom, the governor's office says they're proud of the agreement made with mortgage lenders and that it's unacceptable for providers to not adhere to their commitments. The state agency that oversees financial institutions says it's received more than 100 complaints so far and that they have been able to resolve most of them. But the homeowners we spoke with still haven't received resolution, Tom.
Shocker.
We thank you for watching. And
shocker. And most of the time, until a media outlet gets eyes on it and gets it out there, they don't do anything. They have to be shamed into it, these companies. These are companies that make billions and billions of dollars. Billions and billions of dollars. And what they want, yes, what they want is exactly what that woman said. They want you to sell the property so they can sell it off to a politician or, somebody who's gonna, wipe everything down and put up condos, high-rise condos, jack the rates up. That's exactly what they want. It's exactly what they want. It shakes my faith too, because listen, I don't have much, right? I don't. Bottom line, I just don't. But I'm willing to share what little I have to help someone else. It's the right thing to do, right? Like I don't have much to offer, but whatever I can give, I absolutely will. And it just it starts to get to the point where you're like, are there any companies out there that aren't just greedy? Like, how much money do you need? You're making money hand over fist. Like, when do you tell the shareholders, hey guys, you're making money. As long as you're making money, shut the fuck up. Right? Because it's not about the shareholders. It's all it's become about at this point. The houses weren't protected. There wasn't enough water to stop it. And this is a bigger problem, which is you had half-dry reservoirs when they were trying to put these fires out. Okay? The state didn't make sure that they were up to levels they were supposed to be. It's just we could do this stream for hours on all the things that went wrong in California for these fires and what continues to happen for fires. And the same pattern that happens over and over and over, including the Red Cross being one of the biggest greedmongers I've ever seen in my life. Hurricane Katrina was an atrocity, what happened there. And so many greedy politicians, banks, CEOs took full advantage of that entire tragedy. They did nothing for days. They left people on their houses for days. Listen, that stupid hurricane still, that like pain still reverberates through my body. Okay. Because I knew people who were down there during that. And it was horrific. It was awful. They were left like trash outside to die. And they knew there were problems with the levees. They did nothing to fix them. All of that money you get in tax dollars, all of that money, the government is sticking their greedy little hands into your paycheck that you can't afford to give them. They're taking and not calling it theft, right? But they're not using it for what it's used for. We were told the Massachusetts lottery money would be used for roads and bridges. We were also told that the gas tax would be for roads and bridges. Do you know how many taxes they have imposed in the state of Massachusetts? The reason we're called Taxachusetts, because we're taxed to the death. And when I mean that, I literally mean that. You're not making shit. After your paycheck comes, there's nothing left. Government has stuck their hand in 7 ways from Sunday on 100 different taxes and pulled most of it out. There's nothing left for a 401k. There's nothing left to invest. There's just nothing left. That's the reality for most Americans, not even Massachusetts people right now. My kids start school in T-minus 7 days. I still have no idea how I'm going to do any school shopping. She needs pants and shirts, and she had a growth spurt over the summer. Yeah, Hawaii, California, New York, and Massachusetts being top of the list right now. Hawaii, I can understand because it's an island, right? Things have to be shipped in and flown in and boated in. That's part of the reason why Hawaii is a little more expensive. But for Massachusetts to be one of the most expensive states to live in, you can fit like 7 or 8 states into California. New York's pretty big too. Massachusetts is this big compared to all of them. You could probably fit like 1,000 Massachusetts into a California. There is no excuse. None whatsoever. And it's because paychecks are going down, the taxes are going up, and living is going up. Nobody's making more. Everyone's paycheck is a little less and a little less and a little less every time. It's unfortunate, but it's true. Hold on. That got me. It's like, where is the help for these people? Because something like that happens, right? And they do that forbearance, and then they come to collect at the end like, oh, just kidding, we're not going to agree. And it's on you to make sure you read all the fine print, because they will lie to you. They'll be like, oh, no, that's not what you signed. You got to pay up. And people who don't know any better are just like, oh, all right, cool. I guess I have to, even if I have to sell my car that I go to work in, people don't know. And there's only one of me, right? There's only one of me as a volunteer advocate. I'm only one person. So for do you know how many times I've heard somebody say to me, well, at least you're saying this, but the government told me this, so you're telling me they're lying to me? I have to look them right in the eye and be like, yes, I am telling you that the government is lying to you. Not only is that against the law, but it's against their own policy. So yes, they are lying to you. So hopefully you will go away after you were told no. That's what they bet on. 90% of people are like, oh, well, they told me no, there's nothing I can do. And then I get the email or the message or the call like, hey, I have a friend. You've helped me before. I have this other friend that needs help. Can you help them with sort of the same thing you helped me with? And then so on and so forth. And that is what I do. But the amount of banks, credit cards, you can think of Social Security, every government entity or big company I have essentially been on the phone or in a meeting with at some point. They don't like me. I'll tell you that much, because I just throw their own policies and then the laws. And when they say, well, that's our policy, ma'am. I love that. That's a favorite one. That's our policy, ma'am. I like to be like, this is your policy? Oh, yeah, I know this is your policy, but this is the law. See how your policy is outside of the law? Your policy is against the law, therefore non-enforceable and illegal. So sorry, but that's the law. So you might want to change your policy. Because 9 out of 10 times they'll blame it on, well, that's our policy, ma'am. That's our policy. Your policy still has to fall within the bounds of the law, or it is illegal and non-enforceable. Sorry, not sorry. A landlord, for instance, can put something on your lease that says you're not allowed to poop in your toilet. Does not make it legal or enforceable. Landlord can put on your lease that you can't watch TV after 10 p.m. because it makes noise. It's not legal or enforceable. You can't put something like that in a lease. You can't add fees and fines, and you can't tell people they can only hang 2 pictures per wall. You can't do it. It's not legal. So you can put it in a lease if you want, and even if the person signs it, the landlords will be like, but it's in the lease. Damn, sir, it's not legal. Doesn't matter if it's in your lease. It's not enforceable. It's like, these days, these landlords really think they can put like pretty much anything in a lease and be like, well, it's in a lease, so you have to do it. Y'all need to educate yourselves. If you're going to be landlords, you need to educate yourselves on what tenants' rights are and what you can and can't do. You're renting the property to them. Okay? Renting. So it's not your property anymore. It's yours in name only, that you pay the taxes on that property. They're renting it for their use and occupancy. You cannot micromanage their lives. You can't do it. It's not a thing. It's amazing. The amount of things that I have to deal with that come with landlord now went up probably like 3 years ago. It's skyrocketed after the pandemic. Skyrocketed. And the things that some of these landlords were actually putting in leases, or putting on like these, oh, well, you got to pay $80 in an application fee. Illegal unless you are a realtor company in the state of Massachusetts. That is illegal. Unless you are a realty company, you cannot charge application fees. Private landlords have been doing it all across Massachusetts for years. And until someone tells them it's not legal and I'm going to report you, they continue to do it. It's amazing. Yeah, I'm live on X. There's people. They're just watching. I know a bunch of people are doing other stuff. There's a bunch of people watching on X. And I said it wasn't going to be a long stream. And it's not, because I'm tired and I'm not feeling so hot. But I did sort of want to go over some of this with you guys. Hold on. Where's this other thing that I wanted to? Is this the one? I think so.
Welcome back. Fire Aid, a star-studded benefit concert that promised direct aid for California wildfire victims, initially raised over $100 million since January. But where exactly is all that money going? William Lajeunesse is tracking it all here.
We'll be
in
going
Los
over that
Angeles.
tomorrow. Because it starts
Everyone,
tomorrow.
please go to fireaidla.org and give what you can. All of the money raised will go directly to people who need it now.
That's how FireAid sold itself to millions of viewers. A benefit concert for wildfire victims. Today, many have doubts.
I think they'd be very disappointed.
David Howard lost 2 homes in the Palisades.
I have not seen any benefit from the FireAid money, nor have, and I'm very involved, nor my friends and neighbors.
Go to the website and give what you can. All the money
These
that's
poor guys
raised will
thought
go
it was going to,
directly
and
to
that's why they
people
helped out.
who need help.
FireAid's website says the concert raised $100 million for direct relief. Yet it told Fox LA, FireAid does not have the capability to make direct payments to individuals, and that was never the plan.
Not what they sold.
We partnered directly with trusted local nonprofits to reach communities in need.
Did you think that you would actually get direct money?
I did, as with, I'm sure, most Altadenians. The FireAid was for us, so we figured, where's the money? Where's it going?
Turns out 75 of the 100 million so
It's already
far
gone.
went to 188 nonprofits, receiving grants of up to $500,000 each. Several told us exactly how many fire victims
Some of
they
them have
served.
nothing to do with fire.
Others could not or declined to answer. At least $6.5 million in donor money also went to LA County government programs.
Like,
2
what the
groups
hell?
told Fox they received money but never applied for it.
My whole house, everything gone.
Bingo,
FireAid recruited Mark Jones to appear in its fundraiser, and
course
he
he did.
thought he'd get help.
I was actually expecting to some type of reach out or something to let
Why
us know
else?
that we're here to help you. And
Nothing.
I've been searching and trying to figure that out since.
Congressman Kevin Kiley wants an investigation, although there is no evidence of fraud.
We need to get to the bottom of where this money is going.
FireAid says
Isn't
it
there?
elected to get that money out quickly and did not have the infrastructure to handle direct
Then they
payments
shouldn't have done
to
it.
individuals. Critics say it might be true, but argue the victims, many, were not told where and how to access the aid. While there's no evidence of deception,
Yeah,
many
there is.
want an accounting of exactly
don't
how the
agree.
$100 million was spent. Bill?
I don't agree
William
with that at all.
Lajeunesse
Of course
in
there's
LA for us,
evidence
William.
of
Thank you.
fraud. Where's
Hey
the
everyone,
money?
I'm Emily.
Where's the money these people were promised? So to sit there and say there's no evidence of fraud, you just saw it yourself. They promised it was going to go to the victims. $0 went to the victims. I'm not understanding here. Like I'm not understanding why that. I mean, this. To be fair, everyone, this is why I do not trust mainstream media, because for that man, he had no choice but to read what was on his teleprompter. That's what he did. He read what was on his teleprompter. He knew that they just played that clip. He knew that the money went to 0 victims. 0. None. Nada. He knew that some of the nonprofits that money went to had nothing to do with fire whatsoever and weren't, it had nothing to do with helping the victims of the fire at all. Some of those nonprofits that got some of that money. Hold on a second. Sorry. I know. Thank you for staying so long, Jesse. I appreciate you. I'm here anyway, so it's fine. He had to read what's on his teleprompter, right? So by his boss, he's like, read this. So even though that, mainstream media company just showed there's clear fraud, if you promise it to victims and none of it goes to victims, that is evidence of fraud. You just showed the evidence, okay? He read what was on the teleprompter, knowing that what was on the goddamn teleprompter is not the freaking truth. That gets me. This is why we can't trust mainstream media, because they're just going to say what they want to say, whether it's true or not. And it's like, that makes it a lot harder for the rest of us, because then we have to do twice the amount of work to fact check and make sure that any information we're getting from mainstream media, we try to get a document on or a direct source, because we can't trust anything they're saying. That's unfortunate. That's sad. But I guess that's why channels like mine exist, right? Why they exist. Also, shout out to Heather. When I wasn't live, I think it was yesterday, when I first started getting the headache and I first started getting the fever, I got a $5 Cash App that I didn't see until like hours later, but it was from Heather. And so thank you, Heather, for your donation. I appreciate you very, very much. I didn't want to forget to say thank you to Heather. If you, and I didn't do this in the beginning, would like to donate to the channel, there are a bunch of different ways of doing so. We have Venmo, we have PayPal, we have Revolut, we have Cash App. Those things are on the screen. And then in the description of the video and also in the chat, there is a link you can click on that will get you to, it's a donation link. So you can use your credit or debit card and you can enter any amount you want. You can remain anonymous if you want. You can just write that in the description. Yeah, Mel Gibson and Spencer Pratt, right? Like they're the ones that have sort of been calling this out for a while now. It's unfortunate. That little QR code also in the right-hand corner, you guys, Maestro made us that, thankfully. So for those of you who have iPhones and couldn't get a membership to the channel, you now can, because Maestro made a workaround for us, and it's scanning that QR code and it brings you right to the thing where you can buy a membership to the channel. So that is awesome. And we appreciate Maestro for that very, very much. Yeah, Mel Gibson, Spencer Pratt, they seem to be all over this. And I applaud them, because it's hard to sit there and call something out that nobody wants to see, right? And especially if people are trying to hide it, right? I mean, realistically, people are trying to hide where that money went. Some nonprofits don't want to respond because they don't want to tell you how they spent their money. They never have to make that accounting, right? They never do. So because they never do, they're not responding to comment on where did they spend the money. The problem with that is that the government isn't going to want to give you an accounting of every penny spent and where it went either, right? Because now, not just the 100 million, where's the other 700 million raised by people, just people, right? That was supposed to go to the fire victims. Where is the rest of it? Where is it? We're probably never going to know, because people are going to hide that. So the more that Mel Gibson and Spencer Pratt call it out, the more they're going to try to hide it and say, nothing to see here, nothing to see here. I mean, even Gavin Newsom, and listen, we don't usually do politics on here, but this is kind of has something to do with like just dirty politicians in general, like on both sides. Is basically saying like, oh no, Spencer Pratt's just like a C-list, celebrity who's a conspiracy theorist. And it's like, you can say whatever you want, but he's bringing facts. You can call him C-list. I'm not even C-list, and I'm still going to say it. So what are you going to say about that, Gavin Newsom? Sorry, not sorry, but bringing attention to an issue is going to get harder and harder nowadays, because the people wanting to hide it, they might have more resources than you to hide it. They can hire bots and misinformation campaigns and PR to push out that nope, nothing to see here, folks. There's nothing to see here. That's just a bunch of nonsense. When in reality, somebody's trying to show you the truth, like Spencer, and people are just kind of not paying attention to it. And I've been watching it for a little while now, and I was like, oh, damn, no, I have to cover this, because, and that's sad. It shouldn't have to take, influential people or rich people to make people pay attention to something that isn't right. Right. And I think, again, even with my own audience, you guys know, I'm not going to say something just because it's what you want to hear. I'm just not. If I can't confirm it, if I don't know it to be true, I'm not going to bring it. Like, it's really that simple. You learn over time, where to get trusted information and sources, where to find your documents, who to call when you need something. And I have people who live all over the country who do a bunch of different jobs. So thankfully I have help in that department when it comes to various stories that I'm covering. But it shouldn't take money and influence to get the word out that something's not right here, right? Something isn't right here. That money belonged to the victims. And unfortunately, that is not where it went, right? It's just unfortunate, but that's not where it went. And I hope that Spencer keeps on them and keeps talking about it, because realistically, if people don't keep talking about it, it'll just go away. It'll be another news cycle. So we do have the Adelson case in the morning. Donna Adelson's case starts in the morning. They have got their jury, although they only did 2 alternates. I don't know why. I think it was 8 men, 5 women. From what I, read earlier. I've been trying to sort of keep up with everything and sort of rest at the same time. I know those 2 things don't really go well together, but I've been sick for 2 days. My head is still banging out. So I got my blankie and my ginger ale. But that's also why I told you guys it would be a shorter live tonight than what is usual, because I still got to be up in the morning and I have another 8 hours with y'all for a case tomorrow. So with that, I am going to end this very short but lovely live. I appreciate all y'all. I love all y'all. If you're catching me on the replay, I'm sorry that you missed me, but I hope to see y'all in the morning. I love your stinking faces. If you would like to donate to the channel, we could definitely use your help. We're still just a small channel trying to grow, and we only get donations from you guys to keep the channel afloat. So if we don't get them, we're not keeping it afloat. So I appreciate everybody that puts anything into it. We love you all, and all the information is in the description of the video. It's also on the screen. It runs on a ticker as well that sometimes people miss, but I can't make it bigger. Sorry, I can't make it bigger. People ask me that all the time in like DMs and texts. Like, I can't make it bigger. Sorry, I cannot. But I love y'all, stinking faces, and hopefully I will have broken this banging in my head and this fever by the morning. All right. Love y'all. Bless you, little one. And I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye.